Thank you for joining us for another edition of Dan Frequently Asked Questions. In this particular case, we're going to be talking about pulmonary embolism. And this individual has questions in relation to diving, but actually also in relation to flying. But I want to first bring it back to the concept of what a pulmonary thromboembolism is and what causes it. Thromboembolism occurs if there has been deep venous thrombosis, and that may be either as a result of an injury to the leg, or it may be, for instance, after a very long flight, or there may be individuals who have clotting disorders that predispose them to these clots. Now, for a pulmonary embolus to occur, the clot would have needed to be as high as the knee and beyond, because under the knee very, very rarely embolizes to the lung. So we're talking about a significant clot that went all the way up to the upper leg and then eventually caused pulmonary embolism to the extent that it impaired the person's breathing and clearly caused medical problems. So what about further diving? Well, first of all, the cause of the pulmonary embolus must be sorted out. There shouldn't be any clot or risk of a clot, or there should be acceptable medication, and Coumadin is no longer the only medication that is acceptable for the treatment of deep venous thrombosis. There's Xarelto as well, and there are a number of pilots and divers that are using Xarelto now because it controls more readily and is a safer drug to take than Coumadin, which is very, very variable. So find out, is there a clot? Can you use safe medication? Is your lung function adequate, not only for breathing, because remember, a blow lung function only assesses the air components, not the circulatory components. So you'd want to know whether the person is actually fit enough and able to maintain exercise capacities between 7 and 9 metabolic equivalents, or 7 to 9 kilometers per hour on a treadmill or on a staged ECG treadmill. And the clearance should be given by a pulmonologist or cardiologist in conjunction with a diving medical practitioner, or on the side of the microlight, it would be in the case of a designated aviation medical examiner. Now, a microlight falls into so-called class 4, in which there is relatively little medical oversight, but nevertheless acceptable medication would be necessary, and one would want to ensure that the individual is not at risk at redeveloping a pulmonary embolus. And if that's the case, the chances are pretty good that you'll be able to fly, because the altitudes at which microlights fly are not particularly high, and that per se is not going to be a problem. I hope that's answered your question. Thanks for asking it and joining us for Dan Frequently Asked Questions.